Hello students, I'm Vipul Mittal. In this video, I will explain how you calculate the amount of interest that is exempt from tax on Series EE bonds. So you get interest on Series EE bonds. Some amount may be exempt from tax if certain conditions are met. So I've discussed those conditions in another video. Now, how you calculate the amount of exemption, that's the question that we have. So if you have Series EE bonds, you also call these bonds qualified US saving bonds. How you calculate the amount of exemption? Because this exemption depends upon various factors. Let's see the calculation. Let's take an example. So you encashed qualified US saving bonds for $20,000, Series E bonds for $20,000. This is the amount that you get on redemption. So you encash these bonds for $20,000, and these bonds were bought by you long back in 2003 for $11,000. But you encashed these bonds for $20,000 during 2023, during the year. So what is the amount of interest that you're getting? You're getting $9,000 interest. And the question that we have is, what amount of interest is exempt? Whether the entire $9,000 is exempt or only a portion of this $9,000 is exempt. Okay. Now, the amount that is exempt depends upon how much you have spent on your higher education, or higher education of your spouse or dependents. So let's say you have spent $16,000 on your higher education during 2023. All right. Now, the amount of exemption also depends upon your magi. So it depends upon how much you have spent on your higher education. So it depends how much you have spent on higher education of yourself or your spouse or your dependents. It also depends upon your magi for the year, that is modified adjusted gross income. So your AGI is modified for certain items. Your AGI is adjusted for certain items. And when your AGI is adjusted or modified for certain items, you get magi. This figure is provided to you in the question. The amount of interest that is exempt primarily depends upon these two factors: how much you have spent on higher education during the year, and what is your magi. So if your magi is within the range, so there is a phase out range. This range is different for married filing jointly and surviving spouse and for others. So for merit filing jointly, it is from 137,800 to 167,800. So range is $30,000. And this is the range for 2023. For others, it is 91,850 to 106,850. Range is $15,000. Okay. Let's say we are taking example of merit filing separately. So you are married, but filing a separate return, then you fall in others. And the phase out range is $15,000. It starts at 91,850. So if your magi is less than 91,850, then there is no phase out. So there is no phase out of interest exemption. You get full exemption. Exemption is not reduced because your magi is less than 91,850. You are merit filing separately. If your magi is more than 106,850, you do not get any exemption. No exemption because your magi is very high, higher than the upper limit of the phase out range. Your magi is more than 106,850. Entire exemption is phased out. But if your magi is within this range, between 91,850 and 106,850, then some amount of exemption is phased out, but you still get some exemption. So in this example, your magi falls within this range. Some amount of exemption is phased out. You do not get full benefit of this exemption. How you calculate the amount that is exempt? So you have received $9,000 of interest. Now you are supposed to spend the entire $20,000 on higher education, but you have spent only $16,000. So your exemption is $16,000 divided by $20,000. That is 80%. That is $7,200. All right. Now You have to give effect for the phase out due to Magi. So your Magi falls in the range. So what is the higher limit? Higher limit for you, because you're merit filing separately, it is 106,850 and your Magi is 101,850. Take the difference. 106,850 minus 101,850, difference is $5,000. So $5,000 divided by the range, $15,000. You're reducing your exemption. You're reducing it to one third. This is phase out. Exemption is phased out. Because your Magi is higher, it is higher than 91850. All right. So the amount of exemption is $2,400. So you receive interest $9,000, but only $2,400 is exempt, and $6,600 of interest is taxable. So this is how you calculate amount of interest that is exempt on Series EE bonds. All right, students, I hope this is helpful. Watch more videos and enjoy studying.